Hello, hello, hello. Happy Saturday. It is Saturday, May 25th. I hope everybody has had a good weekend so far. Uh, so far, so good here. I have no complaints yet. I made a bunch of Rice Krispie treats yesterday. That's going well. I ate a lot of Rice Krispie treats for breakfast, so let me fix this. So what's going on here? That looks weird. There we go. All right. Yeah, I made like Rice Krispie treats with Fruity Pebbles mixed in, and then I made other ones that were like Rocky Road ones that had chocolate chip and coconut, um, almonds, just a bunch of other stuff, not just regular Rice Krispie treats. And now I'm like addicted to fresh Rice Krispie treats. They're a dangerous thing to have around the house. I don't think I've ever made banana pudding. I've been making a lot of like bread and bagels and stuff like that recently. Who knows what I'm going to make next? Ice cream. I've been making ice cream and sorbet because I have a Ninja Creamy that I'm able to make those things. I think they're totally worth the money. So, especially if you have like dietary restrictions, that way you make whatever, because you can make sorbet literally just out of frozen fruit. So, all right, let me get everything fixed. All right, so let's get started for the show. Let's see, which video am I going to do first? I didn't have a chance to put these in the order I wanted. That's okay. All right, so we're going to start out with Karen Reed. Lucky us. So the Boston Globe actually made a video that's get caught up with the Karen Reed trial in 60 seconds. So I'm going to see how much that tells us. Oh, Pokemon, happy birthday to your dad.
Karen Reed is accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, in January 2022. She has pleaded not guilty. Prosecutors say Reed left O'Keefe for dead after intentionally backing into him with her SUV outside a Canton home after a night of heavy drinking. Witnesses have testified that Reed herself suggested she was responsible for O'Keefe's death.
She said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
But the specifics of what Reed said after she found O'Keefe's body have varied from witness to witness.
She was asking if he was dead, and she said, could I have hit him?
Reed's lawyers say she's being framed in a wide-ranging conspiracy that includes officers from various law enforcement agencies. They claim that O'Keefe was fatally beaten at the Canton home owned by a Boston police officer, and his body was planted outside. But the former homeowners say O'Keefe never entered the home after they went bar hopping. The defense has also called the quality of the police investigation into question.
Do you think it's standard practice for a police department to borrow red Solo cups from a neighbor to gather evidence?
Of course not. Nothing about the scene was standard.
As the trial moves on, we could expect to hear more on the handling of the police investigation, as well as expert testimony about DNA evidence and phone data.
In the Karen Reed murder trial, a federal agent and friend of John O'Keefe just told the jury that Reed kissed him a few weeks before John O'Keefe's death.
The defendant kissed me.
And how did she kiss you?
Not like a friend.
Lip to
With
lip, is that fair to
tongue?
say?
Yes.
Was it with tongues
Like a
or?
romantic kiss.
That's the way I interpreted it.
As WBZ's Penny Commit shows us, Brian Higgins' testimony could be key in this case.
A much anticipated witness took the stand this morning, Brian Higgins. He's an ATF agent who was there the night John O'Keefe died and is being painted by the defense as a potential alternative suspect in John's death.
It didn't make sense to me. I couldn't do the math in my head because I know John O'Keefe and the defendant never showed up. It didn't make sense.
The defendant. It's the only term ATF agent Brian Higgins would use to describe Karen Reed all morning, despite testifying that the two had a friendship, often socializing together through John O'Keefe. Sometimes Higgins says he and Karen even exchanged flirtatious text messages.
And do you recall what the substance of that text was?
I think it was something like, well, to be honest with you, it was, I guess you could view it as a flirty text.
Higgins was questioned about several details from that night in 2022. The special agent recalled being at the bar that night with John and Karen and expected them to be at the after party, but says they never showed up.
At any point in time, did you see either of them inside the house or outside of the house or around the house or anywhere around 34 Fairview Road?
Absolutely not, no.
By the next morning, Higgins had woken up to numerous text messages on both his personal and work phones.
People were pretty distraught.
And did you know why they were distraught?
Because John had been found on the lawn.
But this is just the start of testimony from Brian Higgins. He still needs to be cross-examined by the defense, and depending on how long that takes, it could spill over into next week. And remember, the only day of testimony scheduled as of now for next week is on Tuesday.
Wait, are they only doing this trial one day at a time during the week? But yeah, that's interesting, right? Very interesting. There's so much going on there. Lots of people have stuff that are connected to this trial that don't want a lot of stuff to come out. Like there's some of these people, I don't think that they're necessarily involved in anything. They're just shady people. And they're like, shit's coming out. But some of it, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. And the next video is touching on Turtle Boy in court for allegedly interfering with the Karen Reed trial.
Meanwhile, the controversial blogger known as Turtle Boy faced a judge again this afternoon for his alleged interference in the Karen Reed case. NBC 10's Kirsten Glavin joining us live from outside court in Dedham with the latest on this. Kirsten.
Well, JC, it's another setback for Aidan Kearney and his attorneys hoping to get this case litigated. Kearney once again claims that he believes this is intentional. Aidan Kearney, the controversial blogger known as Turtle Boy, back in court Thursday for his hearing relating to the Karen Reed murder trial. Kearney was indicted back in December, pleading not guilty on charges of intimidating and harassing witnesses.
I've been able to cover the trial as best I can, but it's difficult to walk around with the sword of Damocles over your head. Constantly feels like you're walking on thin ice when you're out on bail.
Kearney has publicly accused the Commonwealth of intentionally slowing his case down to prevent him from covering the trial. It's a case he has extensively written about.
The Commonwealth itself has been slow walking this case to keep Mr. Kearney away from the Karen Reed murder case that he's been seeking to investigate, and there's been all sorts of hurdles on that, and that's just been continuing.
The state acknowledging that they have failed to hand over all discovery by their May 8th deadline.
I regret that I can't report that discovery is complete, but I'm working on it and I've done my best.
A new attorney showing up in place of Special Prosecutor Kenneth Mello, who was not in court again due to health issues. Kearney's attorney now firing back, seeking to have Mello willingly withdraw from the case or have him dismissed for failure to prosecute.
I'm going to ask for it within 14 days, Judge, or I'm going to move for failure to prosecute, dismissal for lack of prosecution, because you know, Mr. Kearney deserves his chance to get out from under this case.
The state asking for more time to get the information over.
I would note that I'm not convinced that all of the things listed are missing are what I would call mandatory discovery, but I will look into them all nonetheless.
Kearney's defense leaving frustrated.
I think it's becoming increasingly clear that the Commonwealth has bitten off a lot more than they can chew on this case.
The judge is now giving the state 3 weeks to hand over all pieces of discovery relating to this case, with another hearing set for July 11th. Reporting in Dedham, I'm Kirsten.
So if he was just indicted in December, I mean, in Harris County, that's normal for it to take a while. I don't know how court works there, but that wouldn't be a shock in Harris County. I know people that have been having stuff continued for years. So, I don't know. We shall see. All right, next up. the Chad Daybell trial. And then another nothing burger, Kohlberger, that appearance. So first we're going to watch some clips from the Chad Daybell trial. The defense has rested and the rebuttal witnesses have started.
Court now done for the day after the lawyers for Chad Daybell rested their case in his murder trial this morning. Daybell is accused of murdering his wife of nearly 3 decades, Tammy Daybell. He's also on trial for allegedly killing 2 of his current wife's kids, JJ and Tylee. Abby Davis, live outside the Ada County Courthouse. Abby, the state already started its rebuttal this morning as well, right?
Yeah, Justin, we heard from 3 witnesses. I just walked out of the courthouse a couple of moments ago, but what I wanted to focus on is the defense's last expert witness that we heard from earlier this morning. That is anthropology professor Eric Bartelink. His testimony was fairly graphic. Bartelink said he worked with the Rexburg Police Department to analyze Tylee's skeletal remains. A medical examiner ruled her death homicide by unspecified means. Law enforcement previously said they found her remains on Chad Daybell's property in spring 2020, burned and discarded. Here's some of the defense's questioning and the prosecution's cross-examination.
I want to talk to you about whether you can make a determination as to where Tylee Ryan's body was burned.
I cannot make that determination.
So in other words, you can't make the determination that her body was burned on Chad Daybell's property. Is that correct?
I cannot make that determination.
And you can't make a determination as to the day or time that the body was burned. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I think you were just asked a question about the ability to determine whether or not Tylee's remains had been burned on the Daybell property. Would you call that question?
Yes, I believe I do.
And I think you answered that it's not possible to make that determination, correct?
That is correct.
So is it fair then to say that it may well have been that her remains were burned on the Daybell property?
Judge, objection, offer speculation.
Well, overruled.
You may answer.
It's certainly possible that she could have been burned on the property, but it's also possible that she could have been burned elsewhere.
Bartelink was on the stand for less than an hour. Afterward, the judge asked Chad if he wanted to testify. He said no. Like we said earlier, court is done for the week. We'll come back on Tuesday. And just to reiterate, we heard from one of Tammy's coworkers today in the state's rebuttal, one of Tammy and Chad's coworkers who used to work with his son, or that did not make sense. Let me rephrase. We heard from some coworkers from Tammy's family, as well as a detective from the Fremont County Sheriff's Office. Justin.
Abby, thank you for being.
She looks so young. And for somebody to testify only an hour, that's a pretty quick testimony. Not surprised that he's not getting on the stand. Not surprised at all. All right, then we have the Idaho 4 trial, Brian Kohlberger. There was a hearing to have a detective discuss the phone records.
Accused quadruple murderer Brian Kohlberger back in court today in Latah County. He is facing murder charges in the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. Today, a detective with Moscow police took the witness stand. KREM 2's Mark Hanrahan has been listening in on that hearing today about his alibi. So, Mark, what did we learn?
Whitney, that hearing just wrapped up less than an hour ago in the case of the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students. Brian Kohlberger's lawyers called a Moscow police detective to the stand as part of their motion to compel prosecutors to release additional evidence in the case. Questioning focused on his work on reports in the case, specifically when it came to cell phone records. The defense asked very specific questions about how he used computer programs in those reports, and what he did and did not do with them. Prosecutors did not spend much time asking the witness questions. At this point, the defense did not tip their hand as to why they were so focused on the detective's work. So another hearing is set for next Thursday when more witnesses called by Kohlberger's lawyer will testify. In the studio tonight.
Well, that's probably going to be a shit show. Dizzy said a detective with 5 days of training on the program and didn't save his work. That's going to go well. That's going to be great. Yeah, that trial is going to be another shit show, that's for sure. And Micah Miller's family and friends are still speaking out. There's been multiple interviews of them, saying that her suicide doesn't look like a suicide and look into it. So one of her friends are asking the police to dig more into it because it doesn't make sense.
There are plenty of people who just are not buying the evidence in North Carolina tonight. Evidence that the troubled wife of an abusive pastor there took her life in a state park just hours after buying a gun by herself. Micah Miller's family had questioned the police version of events since the very beginning. And tonight, in an exclusive interview with News Nation, one of Micah's closest friends says she also does not buy it when investigators insist that Micah died by suicide. Angela Clark says the facts just don't add up.
I mean, none of it makes sense. She dressed for work and she was scared. I don't understand. When I see the footage from the pawn shop, I see a Micah who has been crying a lot.
Not buying it.
I'm not buying it.
What do you want the FBI to know, or what do you want authorities to look at?
I think there's a lot of information there, and I think they need to dig a little bit more. I mean, obviously, my last text with her was at 9:19 on Friday night. We were talking about her car payment and her coming to church.
Angela describes her friend Micah as being scared to get out of her marriage, but getting it together and looking forward to the next time they would see each other, which would have been the Sunday after Micah died. Thank you for watching.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think that they're probably ever going to accept that that's what happened, even if that is what happened. But we shall see. The FBI is involved for a reason. So I saw this yesterday, and I couldn't believe that somebody did this. Like, the fact that people will light up and smoke around flammable things is wild. I've seen people do it in gas stations and things like that, but somebody in Los Angeles decided to light up a cigarette when they had a bunch of propane in their vehicle. Oh yeah, we're gonna replay that.
An SUV suddenly explodes, sending car parts flying and obliterating the vehicle. But the man inside amazingly survives with only minor injuries. That powerful explosion happened last night at a parking lot in Van Nuys, sending shockwaves through the neighborhood.
Rick Chambers is live in Van Nuys with more on the blast and what caused it. Rick.
Yeah, Cher, when you see that video, it is hard to believe that no one was killed or even seriously injured in all of that. But had that happened an hour or two earlier in this busy lot, things could have been much different. It was just before 10:30 last night when this white Toyota SUV suddenly exploded in a Van Nuys parking lot. Watch it again from a second angle outside the New Life Botanica shop. The eruption shredding the vehicle and sending shrapnel in all directions.
Adentro se había explotado.
Mary Cantorall was in the back of the La Michoacana ice cream parlor nearby and thought that the enormous blast was in the building.
Sí nos asustamos y no nos quisimos acercar más.
She says that she did run outside, but didn't approach the wreckage, fearing that there might be a second explosion. Amazingly, the 37-year-old driver somehow survived the detonation. The dazed and bearded man had no shirt or shoes on when paramedics got there, but treated him for burns and rushed him to a local hospital. An LAFD spokesman says it was butane canisters in the SUV that somehow ignited. Whether the driver, who was apparently living in the SUV, was smoking is unclear. Butane, which is obviously highly flammable, is used in many things, such as lighters and camping stoves. What this man was using it for is unknown, but keeping it there in the vehicle was a near fatal mistake. Now, we know very little about this driver. We know that there were Utah plates on the SUV, so we're figuring that he had recently moved here from there. And it's incredible that the fire department says that his injuries were only moderate and not life-threatening. In Van Nuys.
That is insane. Yeah, the initial report said it was propane and that he lit up a cigarette, but not sure. Yeah, they just said it wasn't clear. Poor dude was living in the vehicle and now he just lost his car too. That's horrible. Let's see. So a woman's body was found wrapped in plastic bags in Hanford. I don't know where Hanford is, but we're going to find out together.
Starts now.
In the South Valley, a disturbing discovery in a quiet neighborhood. Hanford police found the corpse of an elderly woman locked in a closet. Investigators say her body had been decomposing for some time while wrapped in plastic bags. Thanks for joining us tonight for Action News Live at 5. I'm Warren Armstrong.
And I'm Graciela Moreno. We have learned a suspect is now facing charges, including murder and elder abuse. The victim was found Friday at home on Encore Drive near 11th Avenue after a neighbor requested a welfare check.
Action News South Valley reporter Cassandra Gutierrez joins us live from the Hanford Police Department with more about the woman who died and the person accused of killing her. Cassandra?
Warren and Graciela, that suspect is 37-year-old Kelly Yingling. Police believe she lived with the elderly woman whose body was found in plastic bags locked up in a closet. Police also believe the homicide happened weeks ago. A wreath hangs on the door of this home on Encore Drive in Hanford. Below it, a note from what appears to be a concerned friend. One neighbor who did not want to be identified said they had not seen the elderly woman who lives here in weeks.
The windows were all closed up, a few boxes, and then we saw a couple letters on the door, so from her, I don't know, friends or something that haven't seen her. So there's a few people that were concerned about her whereabouts.
One neighbor called the police on Friday for a welfare check, and when officers entered the home, they found a body locked in a closet.
The victim was an elderly female, and the body was starting to decompose. She was wrapped in plastic bags, and that led us to believe that this was not of natural causes.
Police say an autopsy Monday showed signs of strangulation. During the investigation, detectives interviewed 37-year-old Kelly Yingling, who also lives in the victim's home. She was already in custody at the Kings County Jail for a pursuit on May 2nd and unrelated warrants. Investigators say Yingling made statements implicating herself in the murder, and they arrested her on a homicide charge.
Very shocking. Too close to home, if you will. I mean, there's a lot of violence in the world, but that's really, really close.
Residents say this is a quiet neighborhood, but police have been at this home in the past. They say there were arguments among family members. One neighbor says the homeowner was among the first people to live in this area.
She was very quiet, very, I would say introverted, but she would come out and ask us, me, the neighbors, for help, you know, in rides to the store and rides to a doctor's office.
Police say they are waiting on DNA test results before officially identifying the victim. I'm told it could take at least a week for those DNA test results to confirm the victim's identity. That suspect is expected to be arraigned in court tomorrow. There is no word yet on a possible motive.
Sounds like a good neighborhood and good neighbors helping out that poor woman and then noticing that something was wrong, even though she was an introvert. Because that's always like a fear when you're a woman that's alone, or anybody that's alone when you get older, you know? And they tried to look out for her. Terrible woman that did that. So road rage has been a huge issue. I know it's been an issue, and it's been a huge issue in Texas. Houston is actually #1 for road rage shootings. But it's happening all over. So this is an incident that actually happened in Florida. And unlike Harris County, this person actually got no bond.
Well, no bond for the man accused of shooting a pregnant veteran in a fit of road rage. The woman and her baby survived, but Manatee County prosecutors argued that Vincent Steele was too dangerous to let out as he awaits trial. He opened fire earlier this month after crashing into a truck on US 41. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank is in the newsroom with why the judge kept him behind bars. Evan.
Haley, the judge found that this was a routine fender bender that never had to get to the point of someone getting out of their car and firing bullet after bullet. Vincent Steele admitted to deputies that he was irate when he crashed his BMW into the pickup truck, thinking that he was in the right. He said he took an unloaded gun, then loaded it, then approached the car and tried to pull the door open. He said he saw that driver pulling his own gun out, then used his own to fire multiple shots. He hit a pregnant woman 3 times, who was also a veteran who served in Afghanistan, and then that vehicle sped off. The defense called the character witness today who said that he is an upstanding person in their community. Despite the presence of a gun, though, being found in that pickup, deputies argued that none of this would have happened if not for Steele.
We determined that based upon the evidence at the scene and the statements that we had gathered so far, that Mr. Steele did not have a valid claim to self-defense at that point by being the primary aggressor.
He's very dependable. He's an honest person. I've never seen him have any type of malice or anyone. I honestly don't feel like, I don't know, it's opinion, but I honestly don't feel like we would be here today if he didn't feel, threatened or in danger.
The intent to charge at a vehicle with a number of unknown passengers in it in an irate fashion, according to the defendant's own statement, irate fashion, and proceed to open fire even as the vehicle drove away, according to the evidence today, to me says there is nothing that I can do to protect the community.
Deputies say that Steele told them there was a bit of confusion as the vehicles were merging onto US 41. He said that his vehicle had been rammed. The pregnant woman and her twins have survived, but she was in the hospital for several weeks. Steele is facing 5 charges of attempted murder. He's going to have to stay in jail now until that trial. He's due back in court June 28th.
Good for that judge. What the hell? He's an upstanding person. Girl. He took a lot of steps to get...
Just a horrific situation.
Hold on.
Ronald Fleming can't believe...
He took a lot of steps to get into that position, like the merge. He hit the other car because he thought he was in the right. Then he rushes up to the vehicle. He had an unloaded gun, loaded it. So he took all these steps. Yeah, he's a danger that he couldn't at one of those steps realize that he was taking things too far. I wish we had more judges like that. So moving over to Detroit, a father says his son was in a cult, and that's to blame for him killing his own grandmother. Yeah, that's a lot in one sentence.
Just a horrific situation.
Ronald Fleming can't believe his mother, Theodra, is dead. And what's even more shocking to this military vet is learning who killed his mom.
It was pretty bright, but I guess he does have demons.
Fleming is talking about his son, 29-year-old Ronald Savoy Fleming.
He was actually, I would call it radicalized via a cult down in Tampa, Florida. Oh, we chased him down and found out.
Fleming believes it was this cult that allegedly led his son to kill his grandmother.
What I found out, this is either the second or third situation in which, after someone has been with this particular group, they came back and killed a member of their family.
The body of 73-year-old Theodra Fleming was discovered in this shallow grave in the backyard of her home. Her son requested police to do a welfare check after he had not heard from his mother. But when police and Fleming made their way inside the home, they only found the 29-year-old.
Yeah, I knew something was awry.
After police questioned Fleming's son, their investigation led them to the backyard.
We were all out here looking, praying, okay, it can't be this. But then we looked when we were in the room and we looked, it was just surreal.
Have you been able to talk to your son?
No. After having a detective explain to me the brutality of it, no, I can't.
Fleming says his mother was strangled to death. His son was arrested and his arraignment was held this week. On Friday, investigators were back at the home as the investigation continues. Now the family is focused on honoring the life of Theodora, a former nurse, University of Michigan alum, and expert quilter who loved her family and did everything she could for her grandson, Ronald.
Oh, she's going to be missed dearly. Tragic loss.
As the family continues searching for answers, this father has a warning for other parents.
My experience as a United States Marine and a counterterrorism, it's easy for someone to get radicalized because the person that he looked up to, wow.
In Ypsilanti Township, Ingrid Kelly, Fox 2 News.
I'm sorry, what was the advice there? That just anybody can get radicalized? Like, yeah, I want to know more about this cult. They didn't say what cult. We should look into this cult. Here we go. Someone said in the comments, what cult? Exactly. See, everybody wants to know. Somebody put the granny killers. I don't see any answers. I want answers! Because apparently another family happened to them too. Yeah, everybody's asking what cult. We all want to know. We're gonna save this so I don't forget about this and follow up with it. I'm gonna look into that. I want to know what cult in Tampa is making people kill their family members. He did specifically say the Tampa area. Well, he said the other person just killed a family member. So, anyway. So you know how there's people... I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's people that call themselves auditors that will watch the police and like record what they're doing and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do and like challenge the police. There's some people that have like channels dedicated to this stuff and recorded interactions with the police and like grading them during the interaction and stuff like that. So the next story is a guy that did something similar. And he ended up getting arrested.
New tonight is self-proclaimed activist who watches police to make sure they're following the law.
Whoops.
Has found himself on the other side of it.
Texas Rangers arrested Jack Miller at his home in Kirby. When they searched his home, police say that they found child porn.
KENS 5 reporter Hannah Tita is digging into the allegations, but first a warning to viewers. Some of the details of this story are graphic.
His motto is Film the Police. The Texas Sheepdog has more than 62,000 subscribers on YouTube. Police say the man who runs the account is Jack Miller. Seen here in one of his YouTube videos, taking his shirt off in a public meeting in Kirby.
Oh, sorry, sir, out.
He records interactions with police.
What is your name and badge number? What is your name and badge number?
And also shares videos of other people taunting law enforcement on the job on his YouTube page.
We have 19,000 people watching you right now. Do you know that? We're live.
Congratulations.
Okay, guys,
Let's
you
get
see,
it to 20,000.
this guy is being a tyrant over here.
What's your name and badge number, you
But in March, police came to him. According to arrest documents, the 51-year-old was arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, criminal trespass, and unlawful carry. Texas Rangers arrested Miller at his home in Kirby, but Kirby police also had a search warrant. This month, police say they did a forensic analysis on Miller's computer and found child porn. The arrest affidavit states officers uncovered 6 images involving children. One particularly graphic image allegedly depicts a man sexually abusing a 5 to 7-year-old girl. Documents claim another image involves a child under 18 being harmed in a sexual act of sadism. The Texas sheepdog remains behind bars on new charges of possessing child pornography.
And Miller is being held on a $150,000 bond for this child pornography charge tonight. According to the Kirby Police Department, it's a second-degree felony. Reporting live in the
Good.
newsroom.
Take his ass to jail. It's okay to hold the police accountable, but what I don't like about some of these auditors is like clearly he was being a dick. He was doing things to specifically antagonize the police. Like taking your shirt off in a public building that's a meeting and all that stuff. Like you're not supposed to do that and they are allowed to address you. And then he's giving the police a hard time. Like it's okay when you get pulled over to say that you're not going to answer any questions and things like that. That's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to talk to the police. But don't be a dick. Be respectful. I'm okay with asserting my rights, but I've never yelled at a cop. I've never done anything like that. All right. Well, a standoff on a freeway in California seems to happen a lot there. So have a clip from that. The suspect ended up dying, but this was a standoff that took a while on the freeway. I would hate living in California. It seems like they have high-speed chases and standoffs an awful lot. I wonder why that is.
In the news around the state, it was a terrible 10th start to the Memorial Day weekend travel rush as a standoff with an armed suspect shut down the 91 freeway in Anaheim Hills. Suspect is dead after a pursuit and a nearly 4-hour standoff that forced a complete closure of the 91 freeway in Orange County today. Pursuit began about 8 a.m. in Corona, where, according to police, officers attempted to stop the driver in connection with a domestic stalking case. Police said the man sped away in a blue sedan and drove onto the 91 freeway before coming to a stop for unknown reasons that was near Lakeview Avenue. The suspect, believed to be armed, refused to exit the vehicle, prompting law enforcement to close both directions of the freeway. Look at all those police. Standoff caused massive traffic jams with cars backed up for miles in both directions, as well as causing 2 schools to lock down. Law enforcement spoke to the man via phone, but did not want to rush him. About noon, a pop was heard and the man was seen slumped in the car. Authorities pulled the man from the car. His cause of death was not confirmed immediately, but police say it was not a result of law enforcement action. The freeway was reopened at 12.
Like traffic isn't bad enough. And then they have to deal with that. And like, yeah, I don't understand, but I don't know, there must be something going on in California. Is there a study or something done why this happens so much in California? Because I feel like there's a chase almost every day there. So, Friendswood is an area that's outside of Houston. So there was a kid that was bullied, and the bully threw chemicals on the kid's face, which is horrible. And I hope that the kid heals. Apparently might lose his vision, but the bully needs to be held accountable. One of the issues that happens is bullies aren't held accountable enough. I'm sure there were things that happened before this, but this poor kid.
A young man with autism in Friendswood could go blind after a chemical attack.
KPRC2's Bryce Newberry is in Friendswood tonight with how a stolen package started all of this. All new at 10.
As these 3 friends hung out, one of them decided to swipe a package from a neighbor's porch. But what another one of them allegedly did with it got Friendswood police involved, and the contents could cost this 18-year-old his vision. The pain is almost palpable in these images of 18-year-old Brody Morgan.
He's just really frustrated and he's pretty angry about it.
His eyes had chemical burns, records show, when he spent 24 hours in the hospital this week.
It was clear nothing was going to do it any good.
After his mother, Amy, tried washing them out with water and saline. The teen with autism had been hanging out with two friends in this Friendswood neighborhood when one of them stole a package from this front porch. Friendswood police say 17-year-old Brandon Jolly then threw the contents on Morgan's face.
They knew right away that it was not salt.
That's what the boys initially claimed it was, but instead, investigators found out the powder was a chemical substance like Drano for clearing out clogged drains.
He could have fine vision today and the surface of his corneas be fine, and then tomorrow they start to break down and him lose vision.
He's now using drops and ointments, hoping he'll still be able to see. His mom says it's a hard lesson about vetting friends.
When they get to be a certain age, there's only so much you can do. Not everyone is your friend. Not everybody wants the best things for you.
Jolly has been charged with injury to a disabled person, and tonight records show he's been released from jail on a $30,000 bond. In Friendswood.
Like, who the hell just throws powder at somebody? That poor kid. Like, so stupid. It is. It's really dumb. So, I had shown previously a Harris County Sheriff's Office high-ranking official that was arrested for domestic violence for assaulting his son. Now he's been arrested for violating that restraining order.
New tonight, Harris County Sheriff Chief of Staff Jason Spencer, seen here in previous interviews with KHU 11 News, has been arrested again. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office confirms to us tonight Spencer allegedly violated a protection order. Spencer is accused of assaulting his teenage son during an argument last September. Spencer is due back in court in that case in July.
Tonight, a woman.
In their search for accountability, families of victims.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he's probably going to lose his job. He probably should at this point. Like, need to find new staff, sheriff, because if he's going to be dumb enough to violate a restraining order too, clearly you don't need him on your staff. I don't know if you guys saw the announcements from Uvalde the other day that they had filed some lawsuits. They had filed some more lawsuits. They had sued the law enforcement agencies and all that. Now they're suing Instagram, gun manufacturers, video game companies, Meta, Facebook, Instagram.
In their search for accountability, families of victims and survivors filed 2 more lawsuits today. One targets gun makers, the other Instagram and a video game maker. They followed a different lawsuit that families and their attorney announced on Wednesday. They're suing the Texas Department of Public Safety and other law enforcement agencies over their delayed response to the shooting. Today's additional lawsuits accuse gun makers of marketing AR-15s to children. The third lawsuit names social media and video game companies for allegedly helping gun makers to prey on children. We have more on these lawsuits on KENS 5.
KENS5.com if you guys want to look more into that. So I was looking up cults in Tampa, and somebody said that the River Church in Tampa is actually a cult. So I don't know. Have to look more into that. And there is a cult city tour that Tampa has. I guess Scientology has a big hold in the Tampa area, according to Google. But I feel like, if it's not a big cult, it's not like you're going to be able to Google a cult, like all these other cults that have been exposed. Until they were exposed, it's not like it was online. So, and a marathon runner was running in honor of the Uvalde victims. They did a 70-mile run in honor of the victims.
A run to remember the 21 lives lost on this day 2 years ago is complete. There she is, Paloma Gonzalez, arriving in Uvalde around 5:30 tonight. She made the 70-mile trek from far west San Antonio to the town plaza. We brought you her story last night. There she was, greeted today by cheers and overwhelming support from the community.
I wanted you to know that you went through the most horrible thing, but you don't have to go through it alone, because you do have other communities that have your back.
Gonzalez even created a GoFundMe to collect money for a scholarship, and you see here she presented a $1,000 check to Uvalde senior Caden Smith. She also says that she raised enough money to help more students out with college.
Aw, that's very sweet. What a wonderful woman. Well, good luck with the calf, Ricky. Go take care of your calf. Moving on to comments from Rex Humerman's lawyer.
After 3 days, that's the thing. It's like post tragedy. This family has been through something unimaginable. No matter the guilt or innocence of Rex, Victoria, Asa, Christopher are collateral damage. Their lives have been turned upside down, destroyed, personal property taken, obviously for legal purposes, but they don't understand. They can't comprehend that. This is something well beyond their comprehension. Never could have anticipated this. It's come as a big shock last year, and this is again.
Why does it sound like an ultrasound? Jesus Christ. That audio is terrible. I thought it sounded like ultrasound or someone's heartbeat. But yeah, no, like a heartbeat on an ultrasound. Like, I think you have your mic attached to your biggest vein or something, dude, because I'm not hearing the lawyer talk at all. That sounded like somebody at a doctor's appointment. So currently one of the other trials that is going on is the TikTok murder with Ali I can't even say his last name, Abalaban, that murdered his wife because he had a drug problem and was jealous that another man was even around her.
Tense moments inside the courtroom today as testimony wrapped up in the double murder trial involving a former TikTok star. It's our top story on the 4. I'm Heather Myers.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Ali Abulaban took the stand in his own defense for a third day in a row. He's charged with killing his wife, Anna, and her friend, Ray Barone.
CBS 8 Shannon Handy was inside the courtroom all afternoon. She joins us live now with the very latest. Shannon.
Yeah, Heather and Carlo, the prosecution spent the majority of the day cross-examining Abulaban, and it was during that time that we witnessed several of those tense moments. Now, I'm going to play 2 of them for you. Take a listen.
I'm asking you a question.
Because all I heard was,
You cannot ask me anything. I'm asking you. Before you shot Anna in the head, you said respect to her.
I did not say that.
And you shot her because she had disrespected you and was with Ray, correct?
No.
Right after you shot Anna in the head, you pushed her head down into Ray's lap, right?
Oh, I'm not going to tolerate this.
On October 18th, you were also researching teen porn videos, correct?
What? What did you just say?
That's what you were researching, correct?
Say it again?
Teen porn videos.
You're out your mind. Show me the teen you just said. You want to paint me as some kind of child molester? Show me what
What?
What you just said.
Why
I've
is
never
the
seen that in
judge
discovery.
not
I've been incarcerated 3 years.
saying
You never showed that to
something?
my team. Where did you get that?
Now, that first interaction was over allegations Abulaban yelled respect when shooting Anna and Barone and then manipulated their bodies. The second one happened when the prosecution was questioning Abulaban about things he reportedly searched on his phone in the weeks and days leading up to the shooting, among them chopped up bodies and trash cans. The prosecution is trying to prove Abulaban planned to kill Anna and Barone, but Abulaban's defense has maintained this was a crime of passion. The killings happened in October of 2021 at the Spire high-rise building in East Village. During his testimony yesterday, Abulaban said he snapped when he saw Anna and Barone together cuddling on a couch, which led him to shoot and kill them both. He also testified he had no intention of killing them. Abulaban called his mom just 4 minutes after the shooting, yet waited 12 minutes to call 911. Prosecutor Taryn Brass asked him about that.
You never did a single thing to help her inside the apartment, correct?
I didn't think I was capable of it. I didn't know how to.
You did not do a single thing to help her, right?
No.
You did not call 911 inside the apartment after you shot and killed Anna and Ray, correct?
Not immediately, no.
And also today, following the lunch break, the defense asked for a mistrial, saying some of the questions coming from the prosecution were misleading and insinuated things he did not do. The judge denied that request, but they spent several minutes discussing this issue. Now, trial will resume tomorrow with closing arguments. Carlo and Heather.
And Shannon, before they wrapped up testimony, we know the defense had the chance to redirect testimony. Did we learn anything from that?
No, nothing really new, Carlo. This is what we've heard over the past few days since Abulaban has been on the stand. They basically said, did you plan to kill them? He said no. He said his state of mind was
Bullshit.
Just a marriage that was falling apart, and he was, quote, freaking out over his wife and this potential affair with another man. And then when he walked in and saw them, again, as I mentioned, he just snapped. So nothing new. It was just repeating things that he has already said over the last few days since he's been on the stand.
I'm sure all the cocaine he did before he went there didn't help. And it's like, why did you have a gun with you when you went there? You knew that you had the intent to hurt her. I hope that he goes to prison for the rest of his life, because she kicked him out due to drug issues. And she had every right to do that. And then he goes and does that because she wants him to do better and wants a better life. Piece of shit. Speaking of drugs, prescription drugs on the black market have been a huge problem, but fake prescription drugs have been an even bigger issue. And Florida has a huge prescription pill problem.
South Florida has become the epicenter of Medicare fraud, according to the Department of Health and Human Services. The crime, they say, not only costs taxpayers billions of dollars, but often puts patients' lives in danger as well.
And a clear example of that is when prescription medication bottles are sprayed with chemicals to remove the labels and end up being resold to pharmacies. NBC6 investigator Miriam Masihi shows us how this drug diversion works.
Video taken by an undercover government informant shows a woman, her son, and husband wiping labels off prescription medication bottles in a South Florida apartment. They use lighter fluid to remove the labels, then reattach the information packet to the bottles that contain expensive medication, including HIV meds that patients chose to sell.
These individuals that don't take them, their viral levels could increase and they could potentially infect a partner or the population. So for that reason, it's very dangerous. And for patients that consume medications that were stored under, perhaps not the best of conditions, it may affect the quality of the medication.
Fernando Porras, Assistant Special Agent in charge with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General, says drug diversion is just one of the ways criminals steal billions of dollars from Medicare each year.
Unfortunately, South Florida is the epicenter of Medicare fraud.
Drug diversion works like this. A patient picks up a prescription valued at thousands of dollars and sells it for a fraction of the price. The buyer, known as an aggregator, removes the label and sells it to a wholesaler who then sells it back to a pharmacy at a discount.
A pharmacy could easily bill the Medicare program $2 and $3 million doing this scheme.
The family from the video was found guilty and served 2 to 3 year prison sentences for defrauding the United States and engaging in the unlicensed distribution of prescription drugs. In another case, Lázaro Hernandez pleaded guilty to running an elaborate scheme to distribute more than $230 million worth of adulterated and misbranded prescription drugs and sentenced to 15 years behind bars.
We often hear about providers, owners of clinics or medical facilities being arrested or indicted, and unfortunately we've arrested a lot of doctors as well. But it's not uncommon for us to arrest beneficiaries as well for being on the take.
It's why the special agent warns beneficiaries to steer clear of schemes that bill Medicare for unnecessary equipment, treatments, or prescription drugs, offer to pay them to enroll in a program or treatment they don't need, or call them claiming they are from Medicare and want to send them a free genetic test.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
A scheme the NBC6 investigators recently told you about.
What can we do to stop this?
We asked them to review their explanation of benefits. Although it says this is not a bill, it potentially could indicate whether there's fraudulent activity in their account.
He says if you see fraudulent activity, you should report it to Medicare immediately. If you're having a hard time reading that document, you can ask it be sent in another language or in...
There's so many scams with everything, but Florida has such a huge problem with scams, and they always have. Miami has all sorts of fraud. My identity was stolen in Miami multiple times. And Medicaid fraud and all that stuff is huge there. Car insurance is super expensive there because of all the fraud that happens. So, yeah, super fun. Fraud makes it bad for everybody. All right, so moving another story. I think Local 10 is also in Florida. So the next story I do want to warn you is about a child that was killed.
Disturbing new details revealed about a couple in their 20s accused of murdering their baby. Local 10's Roy Ramos is live in Homestead tonight with more on the charges the two now face. Roy.
Nicole, the details of this one just very upsetting. In the arrest report that we were able to receive, the details describe the injuries that child sustained, injuries that include broken bones, cuts and bruises, and internal bleeding, and all at the hands, allegedly, of the child's parents.
And I'll adore you till the end of time.
A touching tribute to 6-month-old Nalani Allen posted by her mother to Facebook with a caption that read in part, "On May 12, 2024, my first Mother's Day, my child passed away. Nalani was my world."
Good afternoon, Ms. Floyd. You were arrested for one count of first-degree murder / aggravated child abuse.
But it's that mother, identified by Miami-Dade police as 24-year-old Arnell Floyd, along with the child's father, Nathan Richard, in court this week, now charged with the infant's death.
Sir, you were arrested for one count of first-degree murder / aggravated child abuse.
It's very sad to see a little child like that go like that.
Neighbors I spoke with who live in the Villa Portofino community off Northeast A Street and 21st Place described hearing the news and the disturbing details that led to Nalani's death. The two, seen here with their daughter in these pictures, were arrested after bringing the child to Homestead Hospital, where doctors determined the baby had no pulse and severe signs of child abuse. Nalani was pronounced dead an hour after her arrival.
I didn't know that. My cousin just told me. I was like, that is crazy. If you didn't want kids, why have kids?
During a search warrant at their home, police reported the house in disarray, as well as multiple holes in the walls the size of a fist, as well as dents in the refrigerator door, which appear to be shaped in the size of a fist.
And investigators say that a neighbor also reported several instances of domestic violence. Well, today I did get a chance to speak to the next door neighbor of that couple, who spoke with me through a closed door, but did say those details would surface in court and had no further comment.
Yeah, sounds like they're very violent, horrible people. Like, who can do that to a baby? Like, it's a baby. Babies and old people need to be extra taken care of. And anybody that can hurt somebody that needs their help is a psychopath. Maybe not literally, but you know what I mean. And a plumber, speaking of horrible people, a plumber poisoned an elderly customer with fentanyl to try to steal from him.
A shocking murder investigation unfolding in Ventura County tonight involving a Camarillo plumber who detectives say poisoned an elderly customer to steal his money. The plumber was already facing murder charges in connection with another homicide when detectives discovered the sinister plot.
Mary Beth McDade is live in the KTLA News Center with the chilling details. MB.
Mike and Chair, prosecutors were preparing their case against this Camarillo plumber for allegedly murdering a co-worker for financial gain. That's when they say they discovered some suspicious bank activity between the plumber and another man. That man had supposedly died of natural causes, but they say after exhuming his body, they learned he had actually been murdered with fentanyl.
38-year-old Rothery Foster, a plumber from Camarillo, was awaiting trial for murdering his coworker, 35-year-old Jose Velasquez, when Ventura County prosecutors say they made a startling discovery. Velasquez wasn't the first man Foster had allegedly murdered for money.
As they saw a troubling and similar pattern, the potential for murder for financial gain.
Foster was charged last summer for murdering Velasquez, whose body was found in the Santa Monica Mountains in October 2022. Authorities say they learned Foster had been using the victim's credit card.
That the defendant violently and forcibly took ATM passwords and checks from Velasquez and used those financial instruments for gas, cash, clothing, and food.
In preparation to prosecute Foster for Velasquez's murder, they obtained the victim's bank records and noticed several suspicious bank transactions between Foster's account and an account belonging to 72-year-old Bill Levy of Granada Hills. Prosecutors began looking into what the connection was between Foster and Levy.
Mr. Foster, it was learned, worked for a large plumbing company who had dispatched to the Granada Hills townhouse on several occasions.
They also discovered that Levy, who was never married and lived alone, had been found dead in his townhouse on January 10, 2022, supposedly from natural causes. And all those suspicious deposits from Levy's account into Foster's took place the next day. Well, authorities thought that was too much of a coincidence and had Levy's body exhumed.
The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office performed the autopsy, and the results showed that Mr. Levy's cause of death was the effects of fentanyl, and they ruled Mr. Levy's manner of death as a homicide.
After further investigation, Foster was arrested for Levy's murder this past Monday. So how did the medical examiner miss this years ago? Well, the DA says an autopsy was never originally conducted.
And the medical examiner had conversations with the primary care physician of Mr. Levy. There were conversations about the state of his health, and it was determined on the basis of those conversations that an autopsy was not needed, that most likely the cause of death was of natural causes.
Prosecutors say they've linked Foster to other crimes and other victims.
Jesus.
And tell us he has also served time in the early 2000s for manslaughter and assault with a deadly weapon. For now, report.
So he's killed 3 people now. So he's basically a serial killer. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sean Kingston. He's an artist. He's a singer. Beautiful Girls was one of his songs. He's had a few hit songs. But him and his mom committed fraud. He would use his celebrity to like get product and then say he was going to pay for it or he wanted to try it out. Like he had a $150,000 entertainment system. So now he has frauded people out of $1 million. So him and his mother were both arrested.
Rapper Sean Kingston and his mother both taken into custody, allegedly stealing more than $1 million. Thanks again for joining us here on ABC 7, Hulu, and wherever you stream. I'm David Ono.
I'm Ellen Leyva. Sean Kingston was arrested in San Bernardino County just hours after his mother was arrested during a SWAT raid of their Florida home.
And that was news reporter Ashley Mackey joins us now with more on the charges being levied against the singer and his mom. Ashley?
That's right, Dave and Ellen. Sean Kingston and his mother are both facing several charges related to fraud and theft. On Thursday, we reported that the two were arrested. In an Instagram post that's been since taken down, Kingston wrote, "I'm good, and so is my mother. My lawyers are handling everything as we speak." Well, today, his mother, Janice Turner, stood before a judge. Known for his 2007 hit Beautiful Girls, is being held at the High Desert Detention Center in Adelanto, California, after a SWAT team raided his Florida home mansion. It was there in South Florida that his mother, 61-year-old Janice Turner, was arrested on fraud and theft charges. Turner and her attorney appeared before a judge Friday morning. She faces 8 charges, including grand theft, fraud, and organized scheme to defraud.
Criminal use of personal identification information. Count 7, grand theft greater than $100,000. And count 8, criminal use of personal identification information. I do find probable cause.
Kingston, whose real name is Keyshawn Anderson, was arrested without incident in San Bernardino County. He was performing at a park in Fort Irwin, more than 30 miles outside of Barstow. Several items were seized during the raid on his home in Florida. An attorney present during the raid filed a lawsuit against Kingston, accusing him of paying only $30,000 for a 17-foot TV system that cost $150,000.
He has basically a sales pitch that he goes through to defraud people. He induces them into giving them really expensive things. We know that our property is inside this house right here.
Janice Turner's attorney asked the judge to consider dropping the bond amount from $20,000 each count to $10,000 each count. But given that Turner has been charged for similar crimes in the past, the judge found the bond amounts appropriate. Reporting live.
That is insane. Like 17-foot TV screen system. That is, yeah, that's pretty wild. But like, who does that? Who, I guess they like fraud and getting free stuff. All right, so now we're going to move on to New York with some stuff that's happened over there. This video is a little bit longer. I'm going to go grab some cheese.
This week, a random attack on the Upper East Side.
It was the subway pushings, it was the beatings, now it's a punching in the face.
Plus a possible hate crime in Brooklyn. And the search continues at the home of a suspected serial killer.
Oh my God, this is all over again. It feels like yesterday this happened.
Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. Here are the crimes from across the 5 boroughs. We begin this week in Queens, where a robbery gone wrong is caught on camera at a Ridgewood liquor store.
Shocking surveillance video out of Ridgewood, Queens, showing an altercation between a liquor store owner and 2 accused shoplifters.
All right, it all ended with a man shot and all 3 involved facing charges. Fox 5's Linda Schmidt live in Ridgewood, where the group, the United Bodegas of America, just spoke out against the charges for the store owner. Linda.
Yeah, and they are really fired up about this tonight. So are members of this community. A lot of them coming out in support of this store owner. Now, the store owner, the store here behind me, is a married father of 2. He has owned this store for about 13 years. Well, now he is charged for pulling out his gun and accidentally firing during a fight with 2 alleged shoplifters.
These few days been very, very hard. You would think somebody that is always doing the right thing by others, by his peers, by everybody.
Jael Valerio overcome with emotion, calling her husband Francisco one of the good guys. Now he could wind up with a record and in jail.
If he has to go to jail, I don't know what the kids are going to do.
On Sunday, 2 alleged shoplifters, one of them seen here wearing a red jacket in this surveillance video, were stuffing liquor bottles in their coats. Francisco Valerio, the owner of Freya Wine and Liquors in Ridgewood, Queens, and one of his employees, caught the two 20-year-olds stealing and threw them out of the store. Things got physical, one of the suspects kicking and punching the owner. The Queens District Attorney says that is when the owner pulled his gun from his waistband and tried to pistol whip the suspect, and accidentally fired the gun, hitting the suspect in the stomach.
Over and over, the same crew came in here 4 times to rob the store and get away with it. This time, they did not.
Valerio, who was a father of 2, has a legal concealed carry permit for his 9mm semi-automatic pistol. DA Melinda Katz has charged the 2 alleged shoplifters with petty larceny, but the store owner is charged with assault. Quote, the store owner was physically attacked by one of the men. Unfortunately, as alleged, that led to a reckless shooting by the store owner on a public street in broad daylight. All 3 of the defendants in this incident will have to answer charges against them. The Bodega Association is demanding the DA drop the charges.
If you got shot and you're a criminal, you are a criminal. You are not a victim. We cannot, as a community, allow for Francisco to get prosecuted.
People in this community are also weighing in, supporting the store owner.
The owner, I believe, has the right to protect, his business.
He had a permit to carry it, and they were assaulting him, and it was an accident. He shouldn't be in trouble.
It's self-defense, like somebody's violating his business. I think that that's okay for him to use that.
And also tonight, the alleged shoplifter, he is in the hospital recovering. But again, so many people here calling the owner of this liquor store just a good family man. In fact, his daughter recently graduated from Columbia University. If he is convicted, he faces up to 7 years in prison.
Moving to Manhattan, another woman targeted in a disturbing trend of random attacks.
Well, now to the uptick in what seems to be random attacks on people just walking in the city.
It's happened again, this time to a woman on the Upper East Side. And as Lisa Evers shows us, women she spoke to say that they've also felt threatened.
It can happen anywhere.
I think just people are angry at the world right now, and they take it out on whoever walks by them.
It's happened again. Another woman has been randomly punched in the face for no apparent reason, this time on Lexington Avenue on the Upper East Side. Police say on Tuesday, May 7th, the man you see here allegedly punched the victim in the face as she was walking on the sidewalk in broad daylight just before 1 p.m.
It was the subway pushings, it was the beatings, now it's a punching in the face. And I am very frightened myself, to be honest with you.
This incident comes after a string of random attacks, including one of actor Steve Buscemi. The most recent NYPD statistics show that citywide felony assaults are up by 4% so far this year compared to 2023. That breaks down to about 3 every hour, but those numbers are based only on what's reported.
It's terrifying. You hope that you can walk around your street and go to work and live your life safely.
This longtime resident is now wary even while walking her dog after getting aggressively shoved by a man in the same neighborhood last month.
I was walking with my daughter and my dog and just slammed into me. My bag went flying. I think that this neighborhood has really taken a hit, and I've lived here for 40 years and I can't wait to get out of here, to be quite honest. It's not safe.
Some of the women we spoke with are taking their own precautions.
I don't wear headphones on my head anymore. I used to walk briskly. I walk a little slower. I look behind me. I look in the mirrors, in the windows.
Adding to the fears, the fact that like the May 7th attack, the assaults are happening during the day, and like this incident, by men who appear to be regular New Yorkers.
Such an uptick, I think, of just people looking for to scare women. To be honest.
If you recognize the man you've just seen in the images we've shown you, police are asking you to call 1-800-577-TIPS, and you don't have to give your name.
Now to Brooklyn. 2 teens in Crown Heights become the latest victims of gun violence in the city.
2 17-year-old boys were shot in the Crown Heights section of Brooklyn tonight. Happened just before 7 o'clock off Bergen Street. Police say one teen was shot in the chest and the other was shot in the leg. It's unclear what led up to the shooting. teens were taken to a local hospital in stable condition. The investigation is still ongoing.
Staying in Brooklyn, an attack outside a Bushwick home becomes the focus of a hate crime investigation.
Well, the NYPD's hate crimes unit is investigating after two suspects reportedly hit a non-gender conforming person with a pipe in Brooklyn last week. Police say on May 13th around 5 p.m. the victim was sitting on the front steps of their home near Borum Street and Bushwick Avenue when two male suspects approached them, made anti-sexual orientation statements, and struck the victim in the head with a metal pipe before running off. The victim had bruising to the head but refused medical attention. If you have any information, you're being asked to call Crime Stoppers.
Back in Manhattan, the man who assaulted a renowned actor in Kips Bay heads to court.
The suspect in the unprovoked attack on actor Steve Buscemi is being held on a $50,000 cash bail. 50-year-old Clifton Williams is charged with 2 counts of felony assault. Police say he punched the 66-year-old actor in the face earlier this month. Happened in Kips Bay, Midtown. Buscemi was treated for bruising, bleeding, and swelling to his left eye. His publicist says he is doing okay. Williams is expected back in court this Thursday.
And finally, leaving the city, investigators once again descend on the home of suspected serial killer Rex Heuermann.
Investigators have been at the home of Rex Heuermann since this morning. It's still not clear what prompted this new search of his home and what they're hoping to find.
All right, let's get straight out to Fox 5 Jody Goldberg, who joins us live from the scene in Massapequa Park. Jody, what can you tell us tonight?
Stephen, Natasha, I could tell you officials descended on the home around 8 o'clock this morning, and it's been a very active scene ever since. You could see behind me the street is closed and a command post has been set up. As for neighbors, they say it's deja vu. It was back in July when officials started searching the house after Rex Heuermann was first arrested. No word on how long they'll be here for, and no word on what they're looking for. The medical examiner parked outside of Rex Heuermann's home on Monday morning as investigators throughout the day went in and out of the suspected Gilgo Beach serial killer's house with large evidence bags. Law enforcement isn't commenting on why they're back or what they're searching for.
I'd love to know.
Oh my God, this is all over again. It feels like yesterday this happened.
I think this is a surprise to everybody.
It's been 10 months since police carefully combed through Heuermann's house for clues or so-called trophies to tie the architect to the murders of 4 women whose remains were found near Gilgo Beach. So far, no one has been linked to the murders of the other victims found nearby, but here in Massapequa Park, neighbors say they're frustrated. The police and media presence is back.
It's very disruptive. We just want to know why.
Experts say this multi-agency search involving the Gilgo Beach Task Force is likely for something specific. Heuermann's estranged wife, Asa Ellerup, and their son are in South Carolina. Their daughter is staying elsewhere, according to Ellerup's attorney, Bob Macedonio, who says he hasn't received the application for the search warrant or the warrant itself. The search comes 3 weeks after the same task force worked the woods out in Manorville and then the South Fork in Suffolk County.
I just hope they have something to end this thing and put it to rest. And we don't want this in our area, just constantly over and over again coming to search this guy's house. Either find something or don't.
Now Heuermann, who's being held without bail, is due back in court next month. We reached out to his attorney and have not heard back. As for Ellerup's attorney, he wants us to know that no arrests have been made. And
I was like, what the hell is Tupac doing there? But that's a vintage video. Yeah, a lot of shit going on in New York, but unfortunately it's not only New York that has these issues. It's all major cities. Everything's going to shit. It's not just New York. Now we're moving on to Houston.
It's Fox 26 Crime Files. Thanks for being here. Starting off today, we have 2 people locked up accused of breaking into a cop's house multiple times, trying to take a shotgun, and accused of leaving sex toys. It's James Frazier and Brianna Miles. The prosecutor in the case says that Frazier has a very lengthy criminal history.
I'm sorry,
the
what?
aggravating nature of this case is that he had a gun in the home while the complainant was there, and thank goodness that nothing happened to anybody, and we're all here to, everyone's alive is the most important thing. But now we have to consider how the ramifications of what this defendant could do in our community if we were to let him out on bond. And that's one of the reasons why I approached to raise the bond today.
Now, we also talked to the cop whose house was broken into, and he says that the home was for sale and staged at the time. He just swung by to check in on it and found some unwanted visitors on multiple occasions. This interview is really great, so we're going to run the whole thing for you uncut.
This past Sunday, my wife and I and my kid, my 1-year-old boy, we went to the house to check on it. Things in that nature, and then while we parked in front of the house, we noticed that the screen to the window was bent. That was unusual because we didn't do it. So then we entered the home. There's a room right to the left after you pass the front door, and we noticed that there was clothes everywhere. We left it clean. It's a clean house. We didn't leave it like that, obviously. So heart was pumping. And then immediately after we saw that there was the clothes were all over the floor and it was rummaged through, we heard some noise down the hall. Down the hall is where the rest of the bedrooms are at. So we heard a noise, and then I was carrying my baby, and I immediately gave it to my wife, and I told her, "Hey, let's get the hell out of here." So we parked. So we went towards my truck. I grabbed my off-duty weapon, and I went back into the house, and I started yelling out, "Police, come out!" And then, even though I wasn't in uniform, I just said, "Hey, whoever's in here, come out."
Still a cop.
Yeah. So that's when I was approached. That's when this guy Frazier came out, and he's wearing my clothes, and then he comes out at the same time with my shotgun. So he comes towards me, and we're maybe 3 feet away, and I notice that he has a shotgun in my hand. So I snatched the shotgun from him and I'm still pointing my off-duty weapon at him, yelling at him, "Get out of my house! Get out of my house! Get out of my house!" And then he runs out, telling me there's somebody else in there. So I run. So he's running down the street, and my attention was to the other person, the unknown person that's in my house. Could have been a guy or girl. He didn't tell me. So then, so I had a shotgun on my left hand, a pistol on my right. So I chose shotgun. So, and then I noticed that there was a shell that was stuck in there that I never loaded. I never loaded. I'm assuming he was trying to load it, but couldn't load it. I guess he has no training in the shotgun, right? So the copper end of the shell was trying to push that in. So yeah, I got it backwards. So I fixed it, loaded up more rounds into it, and then put the firearm in my pocket, put the handgun in my pocket, went in there. I have training in shotgun. I'm firearms instructor, so kind of know what to do, tactical. So I go in there, start yelling out some more, and that's when the woman comes out. I believe her name is Brianna Miles. She comes out naked, and she's her hands up, and then she yells out. She's like, sorry, and then she just runs out. HPD finally shows up. I pointed to HPD. I put down all my weapons, and I told them, "Hey, HPD, there she goes right there." HPD puts her in custody. Couldn't find Frazier because I was long gone at that point. So then, after all that was said and done, my wife and I were cleaning up the house. I know. While I was cleaning up the house, I noticed that Frazier left his jail ID card in my bedroom. So then I called HPD officer and I told him, "Hey, this is him. This is for sure him." And then, so then that happens. He gets it. He's telling me he's gonna file a 2B warrant and so on. So then the next day, my wife gets off of work around 1:30. She gets to the house around 2. I'm working an extra job and I'm full uniform. She goes to the house. She gets there first. She opens the door. She noticed that a liquor bottle was out of its place, and it was placed on my kitchen table. So then she immediately closes it because she's by herself. She tells me, "Yeah, somebody's either been here or here." So I tell her, "Okay, hang up, call 911. I'm on my way." I left my extra job. I'm in uniform. I'm going, and I get there within 25 minutes, and then I search the house. There's nobody in there, but I go into the master bedroom and I found out somebody's been here again. I found there's 5 dildos. There's a journal. There's cell phone wires, things like that. That's all I could find. Again, the liquor bottle was out of place. Water bottle looked like it was drank out of. Then I found out that the way they've been getting in is the master window was left unsecured, basically unlocked. So that's how we've been finding out that that's how they've been getting in. They've been jumping the fence and getting in through there. So then I'm finding out ways, let's secure the window, let's secure all the windows, secure the fence and everything, put another lock on it. And I told her, you know what? My mom wants to get rid of one of her dogs. Let me go get her dog and bring it back, and you leave it in the backyard just to maybe deter anybody else. So then that same day, which is Monday, at 7 p.m., I went to go pick up my mom's dog on my way to my house. And on the same street going towards my house, I see Frazier. And I roll right past him, and I look, and I'm turning, and I'm watching him. I go, that's him. He's wearing my clothes. So I get to the end of, because I have a corner lot. So I get to the end of the street, I make a right, and then I make a U-turn. And then at this point, he's on the side of my house, and he's just kind of like pacing slowly and looking around. So when I pass him up the second time, it's confirmation that it's him. The tattoo on his cheek, his hair, he's literally wearing my sweater, my shorts, my boots, and a chain. So I drive. Oh yeah. So I drive 2 streets down, and I park where he can't see my truck. I put my whole uniform back on because I took it off from the get-go, from when I got off my EJ. I put my whole uniform on. I still have my shotgun.
And then I stopped at McDonald's and I got an extra large fry. Yeah, like Jesus Christ, dude, we don't need that many details. This is a pet peeve of mine. I need short, concise, way too much information, my guy. And then you saw him and then you changed in your uniform? Did you change in your car? Did you go back to the house?
And then I come out the street again, and he's disappeared at this point. He's gone. I don't know where he's at. So I drove by my house.
Maybe you shouldn't
Sure
have
enough,
changed.
I see him in my backyard by the gate. I have a metal fence where you can see through, right? I can see his whole left side. He's hiding. So and now at this point, I'm thinking he's kind of being familiar with my truck. Maybe he knows that it's me because I'm driving slow. So I pass by, make another U-turn, pass by one more time for the 4th time, and it's him. I know it's him. So then I make another U-turn. I stop at a house, like maybe a street down. I'm looking at my house, turn the lights off, and then moments later, within like maybe 10, 15 seconds, he jumps out of my backyard and he's back on the main street. Then he's walking down, he gets to another street, makes a right, and at that point, I'm kind of like have a sense of urgency, like I want to get this guy. HPD's not showing up yet. So then
He has a sense of urgency.
I turn down that street, I park, I get right behind him, I get out, I announce myself as an officer, say, police, get down. He doesn't, at first he's like, oh, what did I do? I said, get down, kept giving him commands, and then he runs off. I'm chasing him with a shotgun. And then I take out my taser, I'm yelling out, taser, 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 and then that's when he finally kind of like gives up. He stops at a house in his driveway, gets on his knees, and then kept giving him commands. He finally gets on his stomach. Then I place him in custody. I walk him all the way from there, all the way to my house, and then stand him on the corner and wait for HPD.
Can't make that stuff up. Now, this next case, it's not technically criminal yet, but we have to tell you about it. A Houston woman is suing a Dollar Tree and a local shopping plaza after she claims a man ejaculated on her while she was inside the store. She was one of 3 women who says the man did this. Fox 26's Sherman DeSalle has that story.
Interesting mix of
Houston
stories.
Woman who chooses to remain anonymous tells Fox 26 she was visiting this Dollar Tree in the River Oaks area December 5th with a friend when a man walked behind her and whispered things sexually explicit in nature.
He said he would my that, he wanted to have me.
The woman says after being shocked for a few seconds, she turned around, yelled for him to get away, and walked to her friend on a different aisle. After checking out her items, she made a gruesome discovery outside in the car.
I feel this cold in my back, like in my buttocks. And I said, oh, I feel it. I think I'm wet. And when she looked at me, she just panicked. She's like, oh my God.
The woman went back inside the store and found out other women reported similar incidents.
I just got sexually assaulted in your store. And she turns around and she yells in Spanish, not knowing that I am bilingual. And she says, oh, another one. We just have another one. And I was like so stunned. I'm like, what do you mean you have another one? She's like, you're the third case in less than 4 days.
Since then, the lawsuit alleges her incident report has not been followed up. Requests for any store surveillance video of the incident have been ignored. Her attorney claims the Dollar Tree location is negligent for not taking the allegations seriously. Anna Greenberg says the store is inadequately staffed, contributing to more crime.
What's the point of having video
Have you
surveillance
never been
footage
to a
if you're
Dollar
not going to
Tree?
actually use?
Dollar Tree doesn't have any staff. They have like one person working there. But, yeah, that's disgusting.
Use it to prevent crimes or properly address crimes that have been reported.
The Houston Rodeo confirms their former general counsel was arrested for solicitation of a minor. Investigators say they caught Jeffrey Downing in a sting operation, sexting with who he thought was a 15-year-old girl. Predators getting to your kids, but we're not talking about the ones lurking at the park or handing candy out of a van. They're inside your home without walking through your door. You know what we're getting at. They're in your kids' devices, like this one and this one.
We were using a persona of a 15-year-old female, and so these were all obviously undercover officers that were, posing as 15-year-old female. And so it culminated in him asking for pictures of her naked, and he also sent pictures of himself in the nude.
That's Precinct 1 Constable Alan Rosen. He's talking about this guy, Jeffrey Downing, who's now charged with soliciting a minor. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo says that Downing is their general counsel, but said in this email that he never had direct contact with children during his time there, and now he's on administrative leave.
She said she was at school, and he asked her to go to the restroom and take pictures of herself, so that makes it, it enhances it to a second-degree felony.
We came out here to Downing's neighborhood and made contact with who we believe is his family, but they made it clear they didn't want to comment.
This is just another example of somebody that is educated and comes from a very good family and obviously has a problem.
The strangers are in your home without walking in.
They're in your home. That's the scariest thing. They're there. They have access to your children.
And this is Titania Jordan, the Chief Parent Officer at Bark Technologies.
Bark is technology that helps to protect close to 7 million children across the nation by monitoring children's social media and alerting parents to dangers and offering parents a safer smartphone for children.
She says apps like Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram are all opportunities for predators to pounce. And if your kid does get caught up in some trouble on one of these apps,
be a safe place, remain calm, and get your head out of the sand. Know that good kids make bad choices.
New on Crime Files, we got our hands on the search warrant applications for Downing's devices, and they give us some more disturbing details on exactly what was said in these conversations. Dozens of pages outline exactly what investigators claim Downing said to who he thought was a 15-year-old girl on the messaging app Kik. The records say Downing messaged the girl who was actually an undercover cop on April 13th. They say he admitted to being 45 years old, and the girl replied saying she was 15. They say eventually he asked her, "Do you hook up with your stepdad?" saying, quote, "Young is okay to me, just imagining what it would be like." Later in the documents, they say Downing messaged the girl, quote, "I just shut my office door because I'm getting turned on thinking about it," saying there were hundreds of coworkers in the building at the time. They say he then asked the girl to go into her school bathroom to send him nude photos. They say that he sent a nude photo himself and promised to buy the girl gifts off Amazon if she did the same. The Houston Rodeo confirms that Downing is no longer a part of their staff. Moving on here, a violent offender shot a man just to steal his catalytic converter. And now he's only looking at 6 years behind bars. Fox 26's Randy Wallace has this story in his Breaking Bond series.
Ricky Joyner is the one that rolled the dice, and he came out a total winner.
Back in 2020, Ricky Joyner shot you while he was trying to steal your catalytic converter.
Yeah, absolutely. He actually ambushed me and shot me while I was pulling his buddy out from underneath the car that was stealing the catalytic converter. And he almost killed me. His intention was to kill me. Actually, today is my birthday, Randy. I'm 50 years old. I might not be here right now had I not been able to defend myself and fire back.
He pleads guilty to shooting you. He got 6 years. The judge sentenced him to 6 years.
6 years for trying to kill somebody over a catalytic converter.
You've done both. You've done the defense side, you've done the prosecutor side.
Right.
6 years is pretty low for shooting someone.
6 years is pretty low when someone could have died.
So he's a wanted fugitive 2 times.
Twice. He had forfeited his bond in less than a year.
And what I'm interested in finding out is what the DA's offer was to this defendant before he absconded versus after.
In 2022, he's offered 10 years in a plea agreement. He runs, he flees, but he gets a better deal with 6 years.
You can't script this. It simply, like I said, it defies logic.
Didn't he get rewarded for going on the run?
Well, that's exactly what it seems like. Yeah, so go on the run. They never even charged him with an additional charge of jumping his bond.
6 years on the sentence, and it took 4 years for finally this case to get found guilty. So,
what do you think about that?
That's just nonsensical to me.
It's just a wild story. Well, that's it for this.
Yeah, so Andy has been a victim advocate for 30 years, and he's told me, like, the stuff that's happening now in the criminal justice system, he's never seen before. Things are just getting worse and worse and worse, and victims keep paying the price. I mean, Christ, they're trying to change the word offender and stuff like that, offender and criminal, to justice impacted individual. Like, no, go fuck yourself. A criminal's a criminal. Sorry. Like, that's, nope. Mm-mm. I mean, it's different if someone's like struggling with addiction or something, but like sex offenders, pedophiles, they were trying to change that too, getting rid of the term pedophile. Like, no. Tired of that shit. All right, moving on to Milwaukee. A sleepover turns deadly. Shooters on the run, so I'm going to I try to share as much stories as I can when there is somebody that's wanted.
It was a sleepover that turned into a crime. That's what prosecutors say about the death of 2 teenagers. Bill Miston shows us what came out of juvenile court today.
A 13-year-old boy will remain in juvenile custody, at least for right now, charged with 2 counts of felony murder and 1 count of armed robbery. A second teen has been arrested, and a third teen, who is charged as an adult, Milwaukee police say is still on the run.
I know that he is truly remorseful for this.
The grandparents of a 13-year-old boy addressed the court Friday during a detention hearing.
We want him to learn his lesson, but I mean, he's freshly turned 13. You know, he's scared. I think the best place would be home with him.
Prosecutors say the boy was one of 3 teens involved in a drug deal setup to rob 15-year-old Alejandro Sanchez in Monroe, Wiso. Court filings say the 13-year-old and another 15-year-old boy went to a 16-year-old boy's home on May 18th to spend the night. While their prosecutors say the 15-year-old pulled out a gun he said he stole from a cousin and said he, quote, wanted to rob someone. Court documents say they planned to buy weed from Sanchez and Wiso and rob them. Surveillance cameras outside an apartment building captured it all. When the 15-year-old boy pulled out the gun, filings say there was a struggle, and the 15-year-old shot Sanchez and Wiso.
They were so scared.
Filings say Sanchez was heard yelling, "Why?" and called 911 and said, "I don't want to die. I think my friend is dead." And then the line went silent. Milwaukee police say they've arrested the 16-year-old. His attorney called police in the days after the shooting, identifying him. Milwaukee police say they're still looking for the 15-year-old who pulled the trigger. Reporting in Wauwatosa, Bill Miston, Fox.
Yeah, it's so sad. Like, yeah, probably over some bunk bullshit ass weed that's like worth $3. Got seeds and stems and all sorts of shit. Not worth it at all. And crime is spiking all over the place. Criminal enterprises, gangs, everything is taking over, and people aren't being held accountable. So these people get out, they're going to keep committing crime. Even areas in Las Vegas are having issues with gang violence now.
Well, you may be relaxing this holiday weekend, but some in the Northwest Valley are really going to be keeping an eye out because gang-related activity there has become more common.
8 News Now reporter Ryan Matthews shows us crime in general has some fearing their secluded location doesn't mean safety.
The graffiti in this Centennial Hills neighborhood is a sign of the crime occurring nearby. Viewers have messaged us about an increase in gang-related activity in the Northwest Valley for months. The most recent, a deadly triple shooting last weekend. 8 News Now investigators confirmed this man, 29-year-old Kevon Glenn, partook in a gang-related shooting May 18th. 3 were shot at Smoke Ranch in Tenaya, one of them now dead. Back in March, security footage captured this. This video is 16 seconds long.
I had a guy come up to my house. He went into the side of it.
That shooting a few blocks from Andy Nelson's house, where gang graffiti plagues his neighborhood entrance.
I said to him, "What are you doing walking around my house like that?" And he goes, "Well, I'm representing the homeowner here." I said, "Really?" I said, "Because I'm the homeowner."
But beyond the gangs, crime in general is rising. Metro's crime portal shows around 200 reports of larceny, motor thefts, burglaries, aggravated assaults, amongst other crimes, in these Northwest area codes just in the month of May.
We just see a blue car pull up next to our vehicle, and then our video camera skips, and then the car is gone.
Amina Pikes lives a wall away from that drive-by shooting you saw earlier. Even parked outside her front door, she says her car disappeared.
Because a lot of the things that are happening seem to be happening really late, so we're like walking our dog earlier.
A block away from her, a roommate shooting left one dead Thursday night, 2 others injured, including the girl that lives across the street.
We believe that she is a completely innocent bystander and was struck by an errant gun round.
If it really comes down to it and it starts to feel too unsafe, then I might have to like take that leave and move out.
Is that easy for you to do?
Not really.
A community on edge and pleading for solutions. Ryan Matthew, 8 News Now.
I liked her butterfly clips. Those things are starting to come back. But yeah, gang violence, crime, violent shootings, this is happening all over the country. It's one of the reasons I moved out of where I was and went to somewhere that wasn't within the city. And I'm in a suburban area now. Because, yeah, I can't take that shit anymore. And more people are being killed in random crime sprees. Statistically, the chances of a stranger murdering you are pretty low, but it's starting to increase. So, like, it's becoming more common that people are just innocent bystanders, or they're being robbed. Like the guy getting shot for his catalytic converter. People have been killed over that shit. And even a Marine who is trained to protect himself when at war ended up being killed.
Right, just in tonight, we're learning a Marine has been murdered in the Inland Empire.
Yeah, KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers is at the desk. Mike, we're just getting word about this from the district attorney's office. What happened here?
Yeah, that's right. Really a tragic story here. And the worst part of this all is it was completely random and unprovoked. I want to show you some video here because our station out in Palm Springs actually was able to go to a vigil for the gunnery sergeant who was, killed earlier this week. Now, the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department says there was a group of people drinking in near 29 Palms Park. Now, at one point, a community member went up to the group and said, hey, knock it off, stop doing this. And the guy actually started shooting. Now, didn't hit that guy, but as the suspect was running off, he approached the gunnery sergeant who was just sitting in his car with his dog and unprovokedly pulled out a gun and shot him and killed him. The gunnery sergeant was stationed at the 29 Palms base up there. The station out in Palm Springs had a chance to talk to a couple people who knew him well and says he wasn't just somebody who was stationed there, he was part of their community.
When service members get stationed here, they normally stay on base and do their duty and serve our country. But if you see with the people out here, he's made an impact just in the short time he was here with our community. So that says volumes about the man and the person he was.
Yeah, now you saw all the helmets there in that shot of where the gunnery sergeant was kind of being memorialized and remembered. And they say because he was a coach. He coached flag football out there. And we talked to one of the coaches there who knew him that said he had just won a championship ring. The coach was just getting ready to give it to him when this all went down. The San Bernardino Sheriff's Office has arrested the suspect. He was caught moments after the shooting. The district attorney's office out there has charged him with murder and a whole host of other counts as well. The suspect, by the way, just 18 years old.
Yeah, they're so young. They're getting younger and younger. It's horrible. Let's see. What else do I have? I don't have that much left. One of the things that I have shown you all is crime tourist. Basically, people come from other countries and they break into people's homes and then go back home. This is happening all over the country, but especially in Texas, California, you know, the bordering areas.
Southern California with a warning about groups allegedly targeting homes with Wi-Fi jamming equipment to knock out home security systems. Authorities breaking up what they're calling burglary tourism. What they found in their cars, hard hats and vests to minimize suspicion as they broke in. Here's ABC's Matt Rivers tonight.
Tonight, the 4 men inside this vehicle under arrest, accused of being a part of an international crime operation, traveling to the U.S. to commit burglaries, camouflaging cameras in plants, and using Wi-Fi signal jammers to target homes. Police in Glendale, north of downtown Los Angeles, stopping the vehicle after seeing it exit a dead-end residential street with its headlights off. Upon searching the car, finding, quote, a video surveillance device with a battery-packed charging system camouflaged in leaves to gain a view of residences and know when homeowners would leave. Authorities also locating a construction hard hat and a vest to approach homes with minimal suspicion. And they say they found freshly disturbed dirt in a nearby planter. One of those suspects also apprehended just weeks ago following a high-speed pursuit. Police say during the chase, he discarded a Wi-Fi signal jammer capable of disrupting home security systems. Officials tonight saying those 4 men are Colombian nationals and traveled to the U.S. to engage in what authorities now call burglary tourism. An issue now widespread enough, some police departments setting up specialized task forces.
It's very sophisticated. The methods that they're using, we haven't seen before. It's a regional problem, nationwide problem.
And David, here in Los Angeles County, there have been multiple recent reports of more homeowners finding more concealed cameras. Meanwhile, as for those 4 suspects, all 4 now facing charges of conspiracy to commit burglary.
That's terrifying. Everybody get a large dog. And security systems used to be where it was like literal cameras plugged into recording, so you didn't have to worry about those kinds of things, but they are also expensive when you have like a DVR and stuff at home. So yeah, that's pretty scary that they go to that extent. I do have one more video for you guys. I'm going to leave you all with a happy story after I show you all the horrible things that happen in the world and scare you with everything. And it's about a dog. Everybody loves a dog, especially me.
A former inmate at the Mabel Bassett Correctional Center taking home something special after her time behind bars. She spent half of her life in prison, and what program helped change her life? Once again, here's News 4's Taylor Mitchell.
Now, former inmate Melissa Morgan free after serving time at the Mabel Bassett Correctional Center. Oklahoma Department of Corrections officials say she was sentenced to 100 years in prison for a robbery in Tulsa County, but changed her life around after getting involved in several programs at the prison, like the Guardian Angel program, where inmates will train dogs that come from shelters, rescues, or families.
They train them in their basic commands: sit, stay, don't jump. And then they put them back out into the world. The goal goal of this program is to make sure that the dogs don't go back to shelters, but actually go to homes.
Watch me. That's a good girl. I found my faith. I discovered what the word hope means.
While incarcerated, Morgan trained this rescue, Ezra. The dog meaning so much to her, her family eventually adopt him, hoping one day they could reunite. Eventually, the Pardon and Parole Board granted Morgan her freedom. She was reunited with the rescue that gave her hope behind bars.
Probably one of the most transformational experiences that I've ever had in my life.
Inmates here at the Mabel Bassett Correctional Center tell me the dog program continues to be a success, easing their mental health and giving them a purpose while serving time behind bars.
Do it. It's like a sisterhood inside the prison. It's the best thing for mental health.
When they accomplish something, especially if you've been working so hard on something and you see them finally click and get it and stuff, it's just, you get to be a proud mom. And that's when you connect with them.
Roll over. All the way. All the way. Good girl, roll over.
But it also gives them that companionship. It gives them something to look forward to and help them serve their time without, just sitting around and being bored. So it really does help the dog and helps the inmate as well.
Taylor Mitchell, Oklahoma's News 4.
DOC officials say the program's been successful over the many years. However, Morgan is the first ever inmate to adopt. They hope there will be more to.
Yay, I like that story, and it does help the dogs. I'm all for that. Help the dogs. And I mean, not everybody that's in prison is a horrible person, and people do deserve the chance. Some people deserve the chance at a second chance. So loved that she got to keep her dog. Well, that's all I have for today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me so much. I'll be on tomorrow for Love After Lockup, after Publicly Buzzed is done, and then Monday at 5 p.m. Central for my From Ashes to Advocacy series. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.